Good day, dear Toastmasters and guests. I am Toastmaster Ashwati Rajan, your SA and Zoom master for the meeting. Now let me read Club's mission. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Now our leadership statement. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has her virtual hand raised, so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. And I shall also be spotlighting the timer. Now it's time to introduce our Toastmaster of the day. Today, to play the role of Toastmaster of the day, we have an amazing person. Fabiola, a distinguished Toastmaster, or I should say 4 times distinguished Toastmaster, who's also a past district director, passionate about Toastmasters for 30 years. She took an early pension to take on freelance translation full-time in 2020. And besides Toastmasters and translation, she loves traveling and going to movies. 2 activities that since 2020 she hasn't done much until second half of last year. She has many movies that she can mention about leadership, but she thinks that she could publish one in which she can share lots of impacting leadership moments during her district leadership years. And who knows, it could become a favorite among the Toastmasters community. So let us welcome the Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster Fabiola. The stage is all yours, DTM Fabiola.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashwati. Oh, wow. I'm glad to share with me also her favorite Hindi movie, Nayak. In this movie, the hero becomes chief minister of the state for one day. He transforms the whole state in 24 hours with ethical and altruistic leadership. Wow. And yes, fellow Toastmasters and guests, our team today is centered around your favorite movie, and especially looking at the leadership aspects of this. I love watching movies, and a lot of times I gravitate in picking up the leadership in these movies. I think as a leader, one needs to balance their time, and one of the ways I incorporate leisure into my routine is watching movies. Well, but today's meeting is not only about me and sharing all the favorite ones that I have, but I have been asking the team to share theirs. And wow, today's meeting is going to be a Colossus one, where we will be hearing from fellow members what their favorite movies is and the lessons learned. To segue into the next item on the agenda, which is raising a toast, we have Toastmaster Dliemmas, who shared with me his favorite is Lagan, an ordinary person with a big vision to serving his community, taking on a mighty team, to be a group of common people and helping them to become extra. What a lesson. Let's give the platform to our Toastmaster Dliemmas, who is going to raise the toast of the day. Toastmaster Dliemmas.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and welcome guests. The movies takes us to a different world. Some movies are inspirational, like Lagan, as I mentioned. The other engages us in humor, and some even gets us connected with our history. It takes a colossal effort to build a movie and not knowing whether the audience will like the movie or they will reject the movie. Even when one movie fails, the leaders or the producers, those who are building these movies, believe it's okay to fail and fall down, but it's not okay to remain fall down. So what they do is they get up, they create another movie. So which requires enormous effort financially, emotionally, and all that stuff too. So let's raise a toast. Let's pick up our glasses, raise a toast to all these wonderful leaders that are there in the movie industries and say, hey, best of luck.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Well, to show his extraordinariness, today, Toastmaster Dinesh is also doing the toast as a level 3 elective, social speeches, and he will be receiving a written evaluation in the form from one of our other colleagues showing extraordinariness, and is also member of the of the membership committee, the Hannah. So moving on to our next role player, who has a colossal task today as to observe our language usage. I am going to give her some brain work today with my speaking for sure. Who hasn't heard of the musical Sound of Music of the family von Trapp? Well, the leadership lessons our grammarian sees in this movie is: when one door closes, another opens. In leadership, there is always a solution. Let's hear from our grammarian today, Toastmaster Mariana.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. And yes, I choose the word Colossus for today, which means enormous, either a person, a thing, enormous size of importance or ability, such as Leonardo da Vinci remains a colossus in the history of art, just like Winston Churchill in politics. Or Netflix is a streaming colossus that upended both the TV and movie industry within a decade. So please use the word colossus, but I will count just as well colossal, which is a more popular word related to colossus. And I also will count your ums and so's and anything that should not be heard. But I know this group and everybody speaks very properly. So I won't have too much work to do besides counting all the Colossus words. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana, and for introducing this. And it has been used widely already in our preparing group.
I noted.
Colossus meeting for today. I'm sure we're going to have a great time. Listening to a woman from everywhere, but nowhere last meeting. It was kind of a story for a worthy movie itself. Same as me, Marie is an outer space movie fan. For her, Yoda from Star Wars is one of the representatives of ethical leadership. And she has a classical example from this character from Star Wars that fits her role as timer that she will be sharing with us. Toastmaster Marie.
Yes, as a timekeeper, I will help you maintain the rhythm of your speech. Reminder. So, Green, it will be, excuse me. Green, it will be the in the minimum time. And after, yellow will be the intermediate time. And finally, the red will be the last time to speak. And of course, you have 30 of extra time for each type of speech. Today, we will have normal format, like traditional format, like 5, 6, and 7 minutes. On the special format, like speak educational, 15, 19, and 20 minutes. And an ice break, 4, 5, and 6 minutes. For the evaluator, it will be 2, 2:30, and 3. For the report, it will be 1, 1:30, and 2. So remember, speaker, time precious is, so don't waste it. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. It's customary. The last part was the quote that she uses from Star Wars. My favorite is Dr. Spock from Star Trek, Visionary Leader. I do relate a lot with him. He's very calm. And one of his movies, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable must be the truth. And that's how we act, and that's how we realize things. If you have a favorite movie, you can jot it down in the speaker, between the speakers. We all learn from them. A question, have you heard of the movie U571? And until Tony shared this with us. Pretty interesting, like a young officer assuming command of a submarine with a crew that is demoralized and fearful. In crisis, when asked for orders, he replied, I don't know. Following that, a much older, grizzled officer took the young commander and chewed him up in private, admonishing him and saying, any order, even a bad one, is better than what you just said. Colossus advice. DT and Tony, I put this also on my list to watch. Believe me, it sounds interesting. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, our leadership speaker for today is a past district governor of District 86, a longtime business consultant, an executive with Royal Canadian Legion and its youth education chair, a retired captain of men and women hockey team, currently a District 123 parliamentarian. He has been a lot of different positions where he had to deal with personal ethical dilemmas. So Tony's presentation is about how he has learned to deal with them. At this point, I would like to ask our speech evaluator, Rozy, to give us some pointers of the presentation that Tony will be delivering. Rozy?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tony will be delivering a project from the Dynamic Leadership Path, Level 3. And as has been introduced already by our Toastmaster, he will be speaking on a colossal matter, one which is often unusual, and that's what his topic or his project requires, for him to speak on a topic that is unusual or unexpected in our club. He has, according to the project, it's normally 5 to 7, but being our leadership education speaker, today he will be speaking for 20 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. And well, no, before I do, I think the title was not introduced. So it is my pleasure to introduce Tony and his title. The title of Tony's presentation is How Ethical Dilemmas Define Us. How Ethical Dilemmas Define Us, Tony Bratschitsch.
Thank you. Tony, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Perhaps the title of my speech should have been How Personal Dilemmas Defined Me, because I'm certainly not going to lecture anyone on how they should react. Instead, hopefully you can relate to some of the stories I have, because I have no doubt you will have experienced similar situations. And as my intro portrayed, I've been in many situations where I've been stuck trying to decide, what to do with personal ethical dilemmas. And I will present an overview, some common examples, and a couple of stories of mine. And then I will end up telling you what I think I have learned and how I can live with it and to prosper with it. Now, do personal ethical dilemmas, do they make us or break us? Well, that's a personal intake. For myself, I believe overall, I think it has helped define me, who I am today. And I'm hoping that's a good thing. Now, do we know ourselves? And how do we make the best decisions, especially when we're faced with tough choices? What if there appears to be no right way? But like the movie that Fabiola mentioned, a decision has to be made, even though it may be a wrong decision. A couple of examples we're all familiar with, just to get me started. For example, a man is hungry and steals bread to eat. Now, we probably have all thought about similar situations. Well, is that ethical? Well, he's got to eat. Is it moral? Well, people would say no. But again, a woman steals bread to feed her child. Now, that's, again, not ethical. And again, that's not moral. But would I do it? Would I steal to feed my kids? Yes, I would, without hesitation, even though I'm in the wrong. Okay. Now, the last one's a lot easier. Someone steals bread to sell to someone else. Well, that's just pure unethical, immoral, and we all hope that person gets caught and punished proportionately, of course. Now, we're all from different parts of the world, and obviously not every situation is the same. So my values are based on, the society I live in, and I respect everyone else's values for the society they live in. We do have some common goals, some common morals. Toastmasters, for example, we have the 4 core values, which I don't have to repeat in this club. So what I am presenting is coming from me, okay, and based on my values that I have learned from my society. I have 3 stories to start off with here. About 40 years ago, I heard a news report on the radio that was quite sobering. A man driving a tractor trailer, a transport truck, was moving at a fast speed on the highway, and in front of him, stopped, was a car with people. And if he did not react, he could have driven right through that car and killed those people. This man, however, instantly made a tough life and death decision. He drove right into the bridge abutment and died. And this was big news for a while. People talked about this on TV shows and radio about the man making such a moral, ethical decision that cost him his life. So some decisions are life or death. Well, just a few days ago, I live near Toronto, and in the Toronto Star newspaper, there was a headline, Confessions of a Shopkeeper as Food Costs Soar, More People Are Stealing and They're Not Sorry. Well, as part of my previous example about the person stealing bread to sell, this person stealing bread to feed himself, and it is a man, but he's not sorry. He actually thinks that the grocery stores make too much money and he's got the right to steal. So, you know, that's right off the bat, that strikes me as immoral and unethical. Because, you know, he's not sorry. So he doesn't feel anything is wrong. And that, of course, lends to moralities. This just popped up on CNN on January 30th. This just astounds me about the lack of leadership. This is a story about a chief executive officer of a large IT company called PagerDuty. And she wrote an email to her staff. And it was 1,700 words in this email. Now, I have written some law exams last October that were each one 4 hours and 15 minutes. I never reached 1,700 words in either of them. So she spent a lot of time on this. And in her message, she was praising certain people. She was promoting certain people. And then somewhere in the middle, she announced a layoff of 7% of her staff, but she did not call it a layoff. She called it a refinement. And then at the end, this leader had the gumption to quote Martin Luther King Jr. And it's right there in the script. She said that the occasion reminded her of a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., that the ultimate measure of a leader is not where they stand in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. And she laid off 7% of her staff in a very sneaky way, you know what, without calling it what it was. I mean, this obviously has shown up on CNN News, and there's been tremendous backlash. This is not leadership. This is not dynamic leadership. My opinion, and you can tell I feel strong about that. Basically, there's three major branches of ethics. There's the meta ethics, like what is morality? What is life? You know, what is the truth? And then there's something called normative ethics, which is what we ought to do. You know, people write books, they have webinars, they're telling us what we ought to do, which is good. You know, it's good. Then there's applied ethics, which is what I'm really interested in. And what I'm presenting here is what have we done with ethics? And what are we doing right now? So walking the talk, in other words. And briefly, morality and ethics are different, but sometimes they overlap. And when they overlap, it could provide, you know, good conduct, bad conduct. But having two contradictory ideas at the same time causes mental stress, and that affects us in life on a daily basis. Because moral precepts, they're like the personal guiding principles of what is right or wrong. It's based on our personal beliefs, our upbringing, you know, what we learn from our faith leaders, our parents. Examples are keep your promises, always tell the truth, be generous, follow the golden rule, that type of thing. So and that's, you know, of course, we all know what that is. And then next is the ethical code, which is not necessarily morals, but it could be sometimes. Ethics is basically a set of rules that defines allowable actions, such as corporate best practices, laws, customs, just rules of conduct. And it sometimes includes morals, as I mentioned, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm applying myself here to the applied ethics. Now, I feel like sometimes I'm in a state of tension, and I'm going through a lot of conflict with some dilemmas that I have to face on a regular basis. And there's a term for that. It's called dissonance. Wow, that's a great word of the day. It's a colossal word, actually. So a moral dissonance is something where, we have two contradicting ideas, as I showed in the pictogram, we'll stress ourselves out. We don't know what to do. And what I'm really concerned about is cognitive dissonance. In other words, a conflict between my moral self-image and my immoral action, if I've done it. And I think, in our lives, I think we all have done some. Now, example, a longtime bookkeeper steals money from their employer to fund a gambling addiction. And that's a common story. Quite often I read about that, and I read that the perpetrator actually says, "Oh, I'm glad I got caught because I just couldn't live with myself." See, that's the kind of cognitive dissonance I'm talking about. And I've had to go through some of that. And I'm sure you have too. And I'm going to give you some examples coming up soon. Now, there's political examples. And here in Canada, we respectfully observe what happens in our great neighbor, great friend, the United States of America. And half my family are, and I have a green card, so love America. But, there was a, past president, who it is, who claimed that the election was fraudulent. So why should the citizens accept the official results or even bother to vote in the future? And where does that leave the political system if no one trusts the electoral process? Where's the ethics in that? And tearing down the system, leaving people in doubt and in conflict. And sure, what kind of conflict's gone on, but that's political, right? Literature, Shakespeare. Oh my God, sorry for that. He really got into this. And one of his prime examples was Hamlet. And this was written like 420 years ago, and it still applies today. Now, Hamlet himself, the character, he was torn between having a terrible life because things were happening to him, all kinds of dilemmas he couldn't live with. And he thought about committing suicide, which he greatly feared. So hence the famous quote, "To be or not to be, that is the question." In other words, does he do himself in, commit suicide, or does he continue to live? And then, in law school, they teach about this hypothetical case of 5 explorers being trapped in a cave, and they're starving. And they know they won't be rescued in time unless they have sustenance. They draw straws, and the person with the short straw will be eaten, killed and eaten. And that's what happened, according to this fictional story. And then they get rescued. So they killed someone to keep alive, 4 of them. The greater good, right? This is consequentialism, utilitarianism, about doing the best for the greater good. Someone suffered here. And in this episode, there's 5 judges, and each one gives a different opinion on what the result should be. And they're all different opinions. So again, it's different values. So very interesting. In other words, there was no definite answer to this. As mentioned, I'm a business consultant. I have been for a long time. I have gone through, I think 15 years. I must have had the displeasure and the dilemma of having to terminate over 150 people's employment. I've done maybe a couple of hundred evaluations in human resources where I think I may have helped people improve their vocations and their jobs. So there's be some good to this, and many other situations. But I had a personal dilemma. I had a friend. I was working with a fellow named Sil, short for Silvan. And Sil and I worked together for many years, decades, in different companies, actually. I think 4. And we're working together in this particular company that I'm a consultant for. And Sil quit, but he's done that before, and he came back. We come back 2 or 3 weeks later. So he quit, and he did something very, very bad that was potentially very dangerous, involving chemical wastes and transportation equipment. And the employees were very scared. And the owner said to me, take him to court. He's my friend. I had to take one of my best friend to court. I did. And I stood side by side. So, not looking at each other. And the court rendered judgment against him. I lost a friend. So, of course, you could see where, there's morals and ethics at play, but pain, great pain, for in this case, doing the right thing, I believe. My hockey team, I recently retired. I always wanted to have a team with good character, but we had rules on our hockey team. And one of the rules was if you were on the team, you had seniority. You could not get bumped. Well, I broke those rules, and people on my team got angry. One day, sitting in our room at the beginning of the season, and we have too many players. Typically in a hockey team, it's 15 players. Well, in my room were 20 players, and I was thinking, I'm going to have to get rid of the 5 newest players. There was a knock on the door. We opened it, and it was a woman dressed in a different jersey than ours. She had a white jersey, and we had red jerseys at that time. And she said, can I play in your team? Because the white team said you had too many players. Well, I knew the white team did not have enough players. The white team only had 10 players. But because obviously she's a woman, they don't want her. So in this room, 20 people, including myself, I said to Michelle, you are welcome to be in our team. And that caused an immediate problem. And people were very upset because, I broadcast, but that's the way to do it. And later, and I kept my word. And later, I had to let a lot of players go. Although some of them had seniority, I broke the rule. And at the time, I didn't really know why I did it. It just seemed to be the thing to do. I don't know. And then a year later, a fellow walks in the room. Same thing. I like this guy. And I broke the rule again. And again, it was the beginning of the season. We had too many players. Some had seniority. And I let someone else go who had seniority to allow Bruce to play. I broke the rule, and I had no answer. And I was taken to task. This here's a picture of 15 players. Years later, we went outside to a different city. We played in a tournament. We won. We dominated. And we're the only team that had women on our team. The rest were men. It was great. We had 4 women. The hockey players, right? The hockey players. The puck doesn't know any ethics or morals. Player is a player. But nevertheless, people say that was one of the best moments of their lives. And of course, that kind of, helped me, live with my decision. But something more important happened afterwards. Now, I mentioned Michelle, and I mentioned the fellow who came in the next year. His name is Bruce. And in this picture, I've got them circled with a red line. There's Michelle, and there's Bruce. Now, they would never have met if it wasn't for the team. And gradually, over a few years, they fell in love and got married. My God, every time I see this, my heart warms, my ears, my eyes tear up. Again, why? How? I don't know. It just felt right. I wanted a team of character. And, got a team of love. There's lots of books. People are telling us what we ought to do, and it's great. But really, I'm concerned about applied ethics. And this man here, Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, he talked a lot about applied ethics. And he wrote, the person who possesses character, okay, excellence, will tend to do the right thing at the right time in the right way. I really can't explain that's exactly what I did, but maybe somehow. But they're talking, and I don't think he created that concept, because that's been going on for like thousands and thousands of years before his time. So what do I know now, or what do I now know? Sometimes two wrongs can make a right. That's what I've come to a conclusion. Sometimes, maybe, sometimes. And how can I justify that? Doctrine of equity. That actually is a doctrine in my society where I live. Because there's a history of the common law being too rigid, and 800 years ago, the King of England said we have to have something that's equivalent, that is flexible, and they called it the doctrine of equity, which became a court of its own until it got combined. Equity is not like property. Equity is fairness, it's justice when the law is too rigid. So when the rules are too rigid, right? When sometimes you feel you have to do the right thing. It's not about fairness. It's like being just. When there's something goes wrong in court, they don't say there's a miscarriage of ethics, or they don't say there's a miscarriage of morality or a miscarriage of fairness. They say it's a miscarriage of justice. So I'm talking about the root word, just. That's how I feel now. How I can live with my decisions when I break the rules. And so my advice, if you wish, is Socrates, who is Aristotle's teacher, said, know thyself, know yourself, the philosophy of self-knowledge, of who you are. Self-knowledge leads to self-confidence. Hey, Postmasters, that's us. So self-knowledge helps with our self-confidence. So when caught between a right or a wrong, when morals and ethics conflict, know thyself. First and foremost, know our own character. Do what you must do. Apply yourself. Put the dynamic change, flexibility, dynamic into leadership. Toastmaster of the day.
Wow. Thank you, Tony. Know thyself. Sometimes two wrongs justify the right. A wealth of experience. Well, maybe the two of us co-author that movie that I think of memory. Our next speaker shared a lot of movies. Patton, Remember the Titans. Yes, I do remember that one. It was a great movie. The King's Speech, Darkest Hour, too many to summarize. So with later on, we can get up to this and you can share with us maybe. And we'll chill time. So now I would like to call this speech evaluator to share with us some information. With Munawwara, the floor is yours. Evaluator Mrinal?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Today, our speaker, Ray, will be delivering from Pathways Leadership Development Level 4, Project 3. The purpose of his project is member to apply his understanding of social media to enhance an established or new social media presence. Our timer, please note the duration of the speech of Ray 5 to 7 minutes. Speech title of Ray, Feathers in the Wind. Wish you all the best to the Ray Rivaru. Back to you.
Thank you. Those was Mrinal. Sounds like a movie title, but no, it is the speech. Let's hear from Ray with the title of this speech, Feathers in the Wind. Feathers in the Wind, Toastmaster Ray.
Thank you. There was an old man who invited a notorious gossiper into his house. When they went into the living room, the old man told the notorious gossiper to take one of the feather pillows and rip it. And so the gossiper did. Rip! And all the feathers went all over the place. After the feathers settled down, the old man told the gossiper, now go pick up all of the feathers and put it back into the pillow. The gossiper was shocked. How am I going to do that? And thus the old man told the gossiper, when you say something and let it out, you don't know if you can ever bring it back. Fellow leadership speakers and our honored guests, that's my fear every time I post something about this club onto the internet. I try my best to be prepared when I do a posting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I do take the effort and do my best to release those feathers into the wind. When I joined Leadership Speak, I was impressed with how Brahm did a lot of social media postings and advertising to bring in members, not only for this club, but for others, and for promoting his events. I wanted to learn how he does that. And I thought maybe I could sit with that somebody and just learn. Little did I know that when I became the Vice President of Public Relations, all of a sudden, I was the somebody. I now had the dilemma of learning very rapidly about public speaking. It was like drinking from a fire hose. But I really had a lot of information to take and digest. I had to go into the Toastmaster site and get as much information as possible and start reading and start figuring out what to do. And there are three things that are key to successful public relations. I had to know these first before I got any further. One was preparation for the meeting. Second was what to do during the meeting. And finally, what happens after the meeting. Let me give you an example of how I prepare the meeting, at least the best I can. We always have our Toastmaster today announced, and I always provide a theme. That theme is key. It's very important that we place that information into meeting graphics to let people know what we plan to share, such as leadership at the movies. Now I had to learn how to use a graphic design. I used PowerPoint at first, but PowerPoint is not meant for graphics. It's meant just for presentation. So I had to learn about Canva. At first, I had no idea what to do. But thanks to the help of several members of this club and a few YouTube videos, I had more than enough to get started. I'm still feeling the pain of that fire hose learning about graphics. Next, when I put together the information to post, whether it's on Facebook, it's several groups, WhatsApp, or LinkedIn, I want to be sure that I have a consistent message. I also have to be sure that we put in the right timeanddate.com link to convert all the times to the Toronto meeting time. I'm sure we all are in the same time zone, right? Right. And then I release those social media feathers. Poof, right out there. Next, when we have our meetings, I want to be sure that I get one bit of information from the speakers, their titles, their projects, their paths. Why do I want that information? Because I'm going to need that when I post the meeting video onto our Leadership Speak YouTube channel, downloaded from our Zoom account. I include that as a reference guide, not only for our members, but for our guests who are interested. Sometimes as speakers, we would like to see an example from a particular project, especially some of the more advanced projects in levels 4 and 5. Having that is a great resource and a strength of this club. So there you have it. The preparation involves using software like Canva and websites such as Time and Date, and then posting it on Facebook, WhatsApp, and LinkedIn, and then posting it, downloading from our Zoom account onto our Leadership Speak YouTube channel. That's a lot of information, and that's a lot of preparation to send those feathers out. And yet, it does provide fruit, or should I say feathers. Whenever a guest comes into our meeting or inquires what we're about, they're returning that feather to us. And with that, I say to all our guests, thank you. Thank you for coming to our meeting and visiting our club. We hope that you stay around and see what we are about and how we can help you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. Wow, that is some work you have there. It is a colossal job to maintain that. And I've learning a lot from what you shared with us today. Our next speaker that I'm going to introduce is a past district director of District 82. She's a member since 2002 and currently parliamentarian also of District 82. She received Toastmaster International recognition as Excellence in Club Growth Director and in Pathways Adoption and Smedley Distinguished Director. She chartered electrical engineer and by profession. She is an electrical engineer by profession and served the nation for last 38 years by joining Ceylon Electricity Board, the Electricity Utility Corporate of Sri Lanka, and retired as an additional. She is General Manager of Corporate Strategy. I love this. She will be presenting a speech and will be evaluated by Toastmaster Sandra. And Toastmaster Sandra's favorite movie is Mary Poppins. Yes. She will be giving us the objectives of the project by Toastmaster Noorul. Sandra?
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was fun. Hope you've got my floating umbrella up there. Noorul is giving her icebreaker in the dynamic leadership, doing a speech on any introduction that she chooses, any style. She has asked me today, even though it's the icebreaker, she's looking for ways to consider her delivery and her structure. So if you're sending off little evaluations, that's what she's looking for as well. Looking forward to it, Noorul. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sandra. The title of the speech is Dream and Opportunity. Dream and Opportunity. Toastmaster Noorul, the floor is yours.
I had a dream of becoming a confident state speaker some time ago, but I never knew how to do it. I had a dream to walk on the Hall of Fame stage, but I had no idea how to get onto that. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, how it was possible to a person who born, bred, and live in a village and with a very strict family background. My village having surrounded with the greenery paddy field, green trees, and a stream running in the middle of the village. And I born and I really went to school in the same village, but I was very fortunate to have my parents as principal of a school and the teacher of the school. So I had a lot of favors in school from the teachers, and I had good friends, and I was always shining in the class. First, for most of the thing in my life was real, because I was the first female grandchild from my father's family, and I am the first grandchild from my mother's family. So I had enough of love and affection from the entire family. And I'm having 4 siblings, and I was the attraction of the family. I was the attraction of my school, and I was attraction of my village for so many reasons. Because I was the first female to go to the university from my village. Can you imagine? And I was the first engineer to become an engineer from my village. Again, the first. So these are the good things that I had. But my dear friends, I had a thirst to have my dream to become a reality. But I did not know how to achieve it. When I joined the Ceylon Electricity Board, that is the only electricity utility in Sri Lanka, when the electrification of the entire country was only 35%. But I had a responsibility to make it 100% with my designation as project manager. I was really fortunate to achieve that within 4 years of giving the target. And that opportunity made me to become a most courageous person. I had to recruit people. I had to do the procurement, not the local procurement, but international procurement. I had to train people, but with everything, we went in even every nook and corner of the country. And we went up on the hills. We walked into the forest to look for the unelectrified houses, and we made it possible. My dear friends, still I couldn't achieve my dream. I couldn't become real my dream. But one organization made this dream come true, the Toastmasters organization. I joined Toastmasters organization after attending Speechcrafter program. I am very fortunate to become a charter member of the very first outstation club in Sri Lanka. We were so many miles away from all the other clubs, but we became a club is noticeable in District 82. Of course, at that time, District 80 was entire club was overseeing the entire clubs in Sri Lanka and entire clubs in India. Now, this District 82 had expanded as 7 districts as at today. My dear friends, this Toastmaster journey gave me an opportunity to develop my leadership skills. From president of the club and presidents of multiple clubs, I became the area director, area governor, division governor, and I had the courage to go and contest for club growth director with 3 more contestants. And my campaign speech, still my best speech, because I had to compete with 3 contestants. Finally, my dear friends, I was able to charter 65 clubs in Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu, currently District 120. And I became the highest extended clubs in 2019-20. And I was able to reach excellence award in program quality. And when I became the district director, I was able to drive my district to become Smedley Distinguished District. And it has become world ranking #1 in pathway enrollment. My dear friends, now my dream has become the real. Who is the reason? The Toastmasters is the reason. Over to you, my Toastmaster of the day.
Wow. The dream coming true. That's great. Nice experience sharing that with us. Our next presenter, Asif. He is very passionate about business education and public speaking. In his career of 28 years, he has worn many hats, such as auditor, entrepreneur, trainer, consultant, risk officer. His new areas of interest are executive coaching and social impact initiatives. Let's hear from his speech evaluator, Toastmaster Raam, on the points of presentation.
Somebody's on the line, sorry. Yeah. Madam Toastmaster, can you hear me? Madam Toastmaster, Toastmaster Asif will be speaking from the motivational strategies today. And his purpose would be to practice vocal variety to enhance his speech. Even though he had a sore throat situation during the week, he still decided to do this project. This evaluation project will be different from other evaluation in pathways. What I'll do is I'll create a profile and I will go through the profile with him if he wishes to on a one-to-one basis. We can set up a time because it may not provide sufficient time for him to actually grasp with the time given for the evaluator. With that, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And the title of the speech is How to Lead Successfully at Middle Management. How to lead successfully at middle management. Let's hear it from Toastmaster Asif.
Middle management managers are the backbone of any organization. Let it be a corporate world, let it be a non-profit organization, or let it be any other organization in the world, middle management is the cushion, the translator, the connector between the top leader vision to the down people who are serving in the organization. Without these people, this bridge, many of the organizations would have just collapsed. Imagine the CEO running all the work around and explaining the down people what all nitty-gritties of the work needs to be done. It would be a real waste of time, isn't it? But let me tell you the life of a middle level manager. It's the most difficult situation in any organization. He needs to meet the expectations of the top visionary management, senior management, their vision, mission, and their goals which come, drop suddenly. He catches it and he has to gently transfer it to the workers. Imagine if this bridge is not there, the harsh news which comes, the big challenges which comes from the top level management, the lower level of management would collapse. And why is it so? Because the seniors talk very high level. We want 20% sales this year. But you'd go and talk to an ordinary executive or a sales guy, is just interested in meeting his target and getting his paycheck or getting that bonus or winning. Is he really interested in getting those big contracts, those 20% of the sales? He might not even know about it. As a result, what really happens is this mid-level managers are filled with so much of tasks and expectations that they suffer from a lot of anxiety. Now, one of the best way for these managers to rise up the hierarchy, to be seen as a leader, is the attitude. By the way, in leadership, there are so many other aspects. Maybe the communication, maybe yes, the attitude, maybe the way they're critical thinking, maybe the problem solving, so many things. But the main thing which connects this middle level managers is the attitude. Picture this situation. The senior executive directs the manager, I want this project to be completed within 15th of this month, or else some people will be laid out. It's very critical. The chairman has mentioned this. Projects needs to be completed. I hope you got it. Please go and achieve it. He comes down to his people. Now he has a choice. Pass it on as it is. And he can say, hello, team, we got a very critical task over here. And in 15 days, we need to develop this project. I don't care what you do, what you're supposed to do. My appraisal is going to affect it. Your appraisal is going to get affected. I'm not going to be the loser. You will be fired all. You get it? Now what's going to happen after this? The morale of the team is going to go down. Anyway, most of the people downside are deep neck in doing their work. Can this be done differently? The Mr. Manager comes over here, back to his team, says, hello team, I have good news for you. We got an extremely important work and our CEO wants this project to be delivered within the next 15 days. And he believes our manager believes that we are a successful team and we can really deliver this in time. He depends on us. I know it's tough. It's going to be difficult. But here is the way. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4. And we are all together. Believe me, after delivering this project, we are going to be in the limelight of the management. And yes, it's appraisal time coming. It's a good chance for that seniority level, the growth, that bonus. Let's all pull up our sleeves and get back to work. Hooray! And by the way, the coffee and the burger evening, on the evening burger is on me. Let's go. Well, what happens? The team morale is up. They know it's a difficult task. But yes, they're all going to get together because they depend on this mid-level manager. See, it's just the attitude, which either is going to spoil the office environment and the delivery of the overall organizational achievements, or they're really going to deliver a lot of critical things. Empathy is so important as part of this attitude. Picture this. In this particular situation, another employee says, I am today sick. I'm going to leave today early. What should the manager do? Oh, you are sick. Please take care of your health. Health is very important. Yes, but our deliveries are also very important. Let us figure out how we can deliver it. You may please leave early. And why don't you do remote work from home? That way we can achieve both. Wow, fantastic ways of showing the attitude and making the team work. That's how the best way a middle-level manager can be seen as a leader and succeed and climb up the ladder. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Making the team work. Yes. Thank you for those nuggets that you shared with us, Toastmaster Asif. Moving on, we are going to have our last speaker, Toastmaster Mohmad, who is going to be evaluated by Toastmaster Brahm. Can you share with us the objectives of this project?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, as evaluator of Mohmad Azimuddin. He is going to be speaking today from Dynamic Leadership Level 3, speech number 7, Connect with Your Audience. He's going to present a speech on any topic that is new or unfamiliar to the club members and to practice adapting during the presentation. He is also asked to look for other things besides the requirements of the speech, and that is how he's communicating and how he's showing up as a leader, how he has organized the information and the message that comes across, his confidence and eye contact as well. So I'll be watching for those as well and make specific remarks in my evaluation. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Brahm. And the title of this presentation is My Team Leadership Connection. My Team Leadership Connection, Toastmaster Mohmad.
Zoom Master, please let me allow to share my slides. Zoom Master?
Yes, you'll be able to share now.
Okay. Do you see my slides?
No, not yet.
I'm trying to share it, but it is not. It is prevented to share. I don't know why. Can I send it to the chat and you can share this?
You can send it to the Zoom master and the Zoom master will share it for you.
Sorry, it is taking too much time.
In the meantime, while this is
Zoom
being
master.
sorted out,
Yes.
did you receive the presentation?
No.
I'm sending it to host. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, share it and give me the control. Yes, Zoom master. Okay, you will give me the control as well. Zoom master, please give me the control.
Yes, I have given. Can you try it now?
Yeah, click the enable editing, then I can work on it. It is not. Okay, can you just put on the slideshow?
Excuse me, for the Zoom master, I believe that perhaps the wrong individual was given co-host. The speaker is Mohmad
Yeah.
Azimuddin.
Okay.
And by giving him co-host, he'll be able to control his slides.
I have given you the remote control access also. I hope you will be able to control it now.
No, it is not. Slide is not working.
Swati, if you give Mohmad Azimuddin co-host rights, you've given it to Mohmad Asif. You should give it to Mohmad Azimuddin. I know the names
Yeah,
are
this is
similar,
the
so.
Or maybe, Ashwati, if you can move the slide for him, otherwise I think just spending time, just 2 cents.
You give me the, I think you're giving me the co-host. Yes, Zoom master is done.
Yeah.
No, Ashwati, you still
Yes,
made
yes, I
Asif
have
Saiyed
given.
the co-host.
Now you check.
No, it is not.
No, it's
Yes.
not done yet. No.
All right, go ahead. I've opened up the whole thing. Anybody can access it. Now go ahead.
Yes, Zoom Master. You have given me the
Yes.
access?
Yes, yes.
It is still not working.
Toastmaster Ashwati, look at the list, the participants list. You have the wrong person given the co-host. You should
No, I have changed that. Actually, I have given to Muhammad Azimuddin now.
Okay.
No, you
No,
haven't.
it's still Mohammed Asif.
It's still Muhammad Asif. It's not Muhammad Azimuddin. But if Brahm has opened up the whole thing, Muhammad Azimuddin should be able to control it himself.
Yeah.
There's no need for
Mohammed,
anyone
go ahead.
to
I've opened up the sharing, so anybody can share. So you will have access to the sharing. Go ahead and share your slide now. You'll be able to. Can you see the button for sharing screen? Perfect. Thank you very much. Go ahead. You're sharing your own screen. If you can share the slideshow itself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a normal technical glitch. Stay at ease. We'll be starting soon. Thank you. Perfect. Go ahead.
Now you can see this one?
It is visible. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, now it is working. Leaders, fellow Toastmasters, good morning and good evening wherever you are. Today, I'm going to share my team leadership experience with you. I started my career as a mechanical engineer in an organization. In a very few years, my team leader, he resigned, and then an opportunity came to me in disguise. I became the team leader. My workload increased, my responsibility increased, but my team reduced. And it was very difficult for me to conduct all the activities on daily basis with a small team. But my manager, he was believing that I can do it because I had a very close connection with my team members. My team members came from 4 different countries, and I was very much fluent in speaking in their languages. So every year I was receiving the Outstanding Performance Award. But when I was receiving this award, I was making sure that 80% of my team are also receiving the same Outstanding Award. And that was my leadership. In the meantime, a group of Toastmasters, they invited me to become the leader of their team. And they wanted me to bring my workplace leadership into the Toastmaster. I accepted it. Before accepting, I was having a concept of a very ideal team in this way. I am the leader, and under me, B, C, D, E, F, G are the team members. Look at this arrow. They are all connected to me. And the size of the letter is that they are all on equal footing. But when I accepted the leadership, I found my team in this way. Except B, all are going this way and not connected to me. Now I want to introduce my member here. C, he thinks that his contribution is not going to make any difference to the club, so he's not contributing. D and G always fighting with each other. F thinks that he is the de facto leader, he is the above the leader, and he is controlling the team. Even though he is a member of the team, but he is having loyalty with some other team and leaking out many information to the team, to other teams, and damaging the spirit of the members. The team was really disappointing, but I was not. Because of only this, a calm sea never met an experienced captain. Wrong or right, I am the captain. So I wanted to prove I had a colossal work to do. And then I started my work. So the first was that I had to find out what are actually the problem in this team. So what I did, let me share some of my workshop, the leadership style of my workplace. I was taking a list of the work from my managers and coming to my team and giving them to work to finish it in the same day. Sometimes my team, they were making trouble to me. And then I was asking only one question. Will you do it? Or I will look for someone else to do this job. That question had a very painful message for them. Fear of losing their job. It was not unethical. I was actually leading through motivation as a leader. Look at the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of motivation. The first two bottom line, it is the need for their employment, the security for their employment. And that I was giving them. So the team was performing well. I was performing well. And every year I was receiving the outstanding award. But when I took over the leadership of this team, I found that my team of this Toastmaster, they are in the third and fourth level where they need to be connected with the community through their value and recognition. So I changed my leadership. I found this magnetism of leadership that can help me to connect with my team. And I started explaining their goals. And through the goals, I found that all the arrows are now pointing to me. The next step was that still my members were not recognizing their roles and responsibilities. So in the second stage, I started talking to them and explaining their roles and responsibilities. And in this way, the size of the letters started becoming equal. So the members coming back to me and becoming a useful member of the team. In the third stage, I instilled a procedure how to communicate with each other. And in this way, I made my team in a best possible way to be an ideal team in this area. So leaders, you are going to lead a team. The first thing you have to look for the team that where they are in the Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy. And then set the goal for them. Design and define the roles and responsibilities for them and instill a procedure to communicate with each other and the other members. In this way, you can be an excellent leader. Good luck. Over to Master Sindhu.
Connecting with your team. Wow. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mohammed. And at this moment, as we will try to catch up a little bit with our time, I would like to ask our timer to post in the Zoom chat the times of the speakers. And also I would like to ask the host to launch the poll. If you have any comments, feedback, do use the chats to give it to privately to our speakers, because really they did a great job. I would like now to call on our general evaluator to go right ahead into this part of the meeting, and let's try to catch up on some time. Our general evaluator for this morning, to me, is none other than Sudarshan. He has shared a great title with me, but gaining time, I'll just pass on the word to him for him to go ahead and lead this segment of the meeting. Toastmaster Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Fabiola. With time being a constraint which has been imposed upon us, we shall now speed through this segment, and I shall keep my comments and observations limited and to the end of my session. So right up, the first evaluator to evaluate the toast of the day is a Toastmaster that's joining us all the way from East Africa, in Kenya to be precise. She dons multiple hats, but the one thing that I can say about her is that she's been a pioneer in setting up a club, setting up a division, setting up, in fact, what can pass off as a quasi-region. And she dons the hat of a company leader in her day job and Toastmastering at times that she gets. Today, she is going to do us the honors of evaluating the first speech or the toast of the day. To do the honors, I'll call upon Toastmaster Rozy Rana to take the stage and take us forward.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Mr. General Evaluator. I think there could be a mistake. I don't believe I'm evaluating the toast. I believe I'm evaluating Tony Bratschitsch. I hope no, yeah. I don't know how to pronounce that. Apology, and I don't want to get your name wrong. Speech.
Mr. General Evaluator, let you go on. I'll evaluate Dinesh privately.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But do I
please go ahead. Please go ahead, Rozy. Please go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Tony, what a wonderful, informative, and thought-provoking presentation. Ethics is a colossal subject, and most people would expect it to be uninteresting, if you like. But I would say you kept us fully captivated. In fact, I can't even believe when I saw the Times report that you went through 21 minutes. And I believe this is because you used an extremely powerful technique in delivering your message. You shared several stories, several anecdotes, personal experiences, and you told them remarkably well. And I say this because you had many, you had 3 to begin with that were not yours, but were pretty much headline stories from the Toronto Star or from areas in the public domain. And you told your own personal experiences thereafter. When you discussed those that were not yours, you did not hesitate to express your assessment of how you felt they were, whether you felt they were ethical or not, or otherwise. And when you shared your own experiences, again, you captivated us because stories resonate on a very deep level with audiences. And we were eager to hear more, whether it was, about your personal friend or whether it was the hockey captain story throughout. I loved that technique. And we really got the essence of ethics through that. The second thing I particularly liked was the authority with which you commanded the stage, your stage presence. Yes, you sat, but you spoke clearly, purposefully, and authoritatively on the topic. You are a subject matter expert without any doubt. You courageously shared, in fact, how you didn't care. You broke the rules. You leveraged on poses. You allowed us to digest your message. So you were slow enough to let us stick in this topic, yet not too slow, not boring. It was really, really good. And your presentation overall was very well balanced, providing us with a very comprehensive view of the overview of the ethical experiences, how they defined you, and you left us with a deeper understanding of the topic. The key message was really well articulated, that ultimately the answer lies within us. So brilliant. What could you have done better to really bring out this and make it more engaging? And I think, well, it was really, maybe if you shared with me, you'd like to have vocal variety in your presentations. And I think this could come up if when you bring in your personal experiences. The first one was painful about your friend. Show us that pain from your voice. Don't let it be academic or just neutral. Yes, you broke the rule, but show us the pain through your expressions. Bring out the raw emotion through varying your voice and let us feel that pain. I think that would have got us deeper connected with you. Secondly, tap into our world. Ask us, how would we have reacted in such a scenario? And that would have made us really reflect and feel that pain that you say you felt. And that would have also brought out and, bring it on your facial expression as you tap into us. But overall, I thought you had a fantastic presentation, a deep topic, and you've left us really knowing that, no, you're authentic, sincere, you do what you believe and what is just. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rozy. That was indeed extremely insightful. In the interest of time, let's quickly move on to our next evaluator. The next evaluator comes to us all the way from Kolkata in India. He is someone that exemplifies passion in whatever that he does, whether be it his job or whether it is Toastmastering. You will see him oozing with passion, and today is going to be no different. I present to you our second evaluator, evaluating the first speaker, Toastmaster Mrinal Kanti Ghosh, to evaluate our first speaker. Toastmaster Mrinal, the stage is all set for you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Seshadri. Thanks for your nice gesture. At the end of the day, we all are film story. And Ray, you are already selected for the peer activity of Leadership Speak movie that will launch in the next year. And Ray, you are a Colossus for Leadership Speak. You are a very good storyteller. How you transform a grasshopper story to your own autobiography. Thinking will not overcome fear, but action will. That's exactly I want to say with Ray. So ladies and gentlemen, I especially just you doing a fabulous job. What about your content? Whatever you do from your heart. So that's example. How you transform fear into action and create one of the I think Colosseum Toastmaster Club in the history of Toastmaster in District 86. And that is possible because of you. You know how to create this impact in the social media, starting from Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, everywhere. I love your content regarding you convert your entire meeting within a short span of 24 hours to the recorded version to the YouTube channel, which is available for all of us. That's the exact work for requirement for PR activity. And you are already excel on that. I love the content. Throughout your speech, you maintain the content of your speech. Second part, I'm talking about the eye contact. Throughout your speech, we think that you are presenting and we are listening very actively because your interaction with the audience is maintained throughout eye contact from first to end. And I love your comfort level. What kind of comfort level you are talking about? You are talking about you are you're talking about 3 key success for as a VP peer: preparation of the meeting, during the meeting, and what happened after the meetings. These 3 contents, which creates a comfort level about your job, what you are doing for our leaders to speak. And your efforts, that is excellence, that you really do that. But I just recommended you can work on 2 parameters that your speech in the next level. One is work on your vocal variety. When you talk about your comfort, when you talk about you're talking about when I joined leadership speak, I was inspired by Brahm. That way, I think you can improve your vocal variety. And also, one thing you can improve, another thing is that your Zoom presence. Because you can use your entire background for Zoom presence. You are stick to that only one place. I just urge you, utilize this entire place because this entire box will use. So as a overall, I love your clarity of the content, your eye contact, your comfort level. But you can work on 2 things. One is your vocal variety and Zoom presence to becoming an extraordinary speaker. Back to you, G.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mrinal. I shall now call upon our next evaluator to evaluate the second speaker of the day. And that is someone that is known as Sandra to all of us, but outside of this circle, if you ask, she is known as the compassionate queen of straight talk. Someone that believes receiving and giving feedback is the only way to grow. And she's going to do exactly that now as the evaluator. So I now call upon Toastmaster Sandra Valks to take the stage and deliver her evaluation. Over to you, Toastmaster Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Noorul, can you turn on your video for me? Because this Noorul that you see in the photograph is the one that we normally see. Very serious, very organized, and you know that it's all going to be this way. I loved meeting you today, Noorul, because that's what I felt you did today. Not just this professional, I was going to say cold. I know you're not cold, but that professional facade that just keeps us from knowing you. And today, here you were. Here you were. I loved it. Dream and opportunity. I love the title. It caught me right away. I think introductions are very important and titles need to catch us. And then you started out with, I had a dream, and you used it 2 or 3 times, not too much, but just enough to keep emphasizing, there you were, this spoiled, lovely child that was the center of everybody's eye. And you still had a dream, where so many times people who have been lifted up and celebrated right through their whole childhood wouldn't have the gumption to keep on going. But you were the first female. You were the first female. You were the first female out of the village into the man's world. That really came through. And I really appreciated seeing you in motion, because that's the first time I've seen you in motion. That's who we need here, Noorul. We need you. Have some fun with your sharing at all times, because you were certainly having fun sharing here. The whole speech was very well organized. I loved your enthusiasm. I loved your one phrase that said, the thirst to have my dream become a reality. That one you need to write down for yourself as your own personal quote. You had a thirst and we could feel it. I could feel the depth of that. Really important. Now, you wanted a little bit on your delivery and organization. Your organization was fine. I have nothing to say about that. In terms of your delivery, to bring in some more variety, be aware that you're looping your gestures. This. If you go back and look at the replay, you'll see the repeated gestures, almost as in a loop. It's so easy, you know, to learn, well, do this and do this and do this. And then you start to see everybody doing the same loop and it's boring. It's not yours. Make it yours. And the other thing you might want to do is add dialogue. So instead of just telling us how you were the apple of the apple in everyone's eye. Do it. Mom saying, oh, Noorul, you can do this, move into dialogue. So we can hear the different, imagine it'd be really interesting dialogue when you became an engineer in a man's world. I bet you heard some doozies, and I would like to hear those in dialogue. Overall, you are right to celebrate, and I'm so happy that even though you've retired from engineering, that you're not about to give up. You're into more and more leadership. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sandra. That was indeed very insightful. Let's move on to the next evaluator, evaluating the third speaker. To describe him, he reminds me of Batman. When he speaks, the baritone reminds me of Batman. He is none other than Toastmaster Raam Lakhanpal, who is going to be the next evaluator to evaluate our third speaker. So the stage is all set for you, Toastmaster Raam. Please take it over. You are muted.
Gotten around.
Yeah.
We are okay now, Mr. GE, Toastmaster
Yes,
Sudarshan, award-winning intro. Wow. I must commend you, Toastmaster Asif. Despite challenges with your throat, you were debating whether to do this speech or not, but you proceeded with this speech, which was really, really great. You met the objectives, which is great, which was really bang on. And I'll just go a little summary, then I'll do the other dialogue, the profile that I built for you. First of all, you met the objectives, my 3-point summary. Point number 1, hand gestures, illustrating point by point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, etc., and covering that. That is commendable. And point number 2, in demonstrating what will work, being assertive or being compassionate. The styles of yesteryears, the styles of today, what is beneficial to the company and what is beneficial to you as a manager. And point number 3, your contagious smile and connectivity. That really, really good. I really like that. Your presence in terms of awareness, your virtual presence, very effective. Need a little bit improvement in terms of dialogue, engagement. That is what I would call a very, very good way to start and middle, etc. Now my 6-point dialogue. I start out with looking at effectiveness. Effective, very, very, very effective in terms of loudness of volume. I thought it was a little bit on the low side, but if you had put a little more energy to it, but I do realize the throat issues with you. So those are some of the things that you put up with. How about the pitch? Now, something you can do a little bit better by going up and down or sideways type of thing. You could do a little bit better on the pitch, as well as you could do a little more vocal variety. Your hand gestures, etc., were okay. But in terms of voice itself, if you were to use some of the pitches, yes, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to do this. I, as a manager, found out what it was by being assertive. Did not work for me. But when I was compassionate, that really brought people together. It was really, really good. Voice quality, of course, you have it. We all have different types of voices. As Sudarshan mentioned, there are some voices that are louder than others. Articulation, word usages. I thought this is where you is a winner. You did very good articulation of everything, describing it. And the timing or the pace, the timing and the pace were bang on. You were not rushing You were not slowing down, but it was smooth and fluent. A vocal variety, which was a very big requirement in this, came in very good as well. Vocal variety came in, and I think you did very well there. I would say, I'm sure you'll do a much better job. Your vocal variety and your loudness, etc., will come together with a bang on next time around when your throat is, when you can sing like Sudarshan sings in the opera. Mr. GE, back to you.
Thank you very much. I assure you, if I sing, there will be nobody left in this meeting. But anyway, let's proceed further now to the next evaluator to evaluate our fourth speaker. To describe this evaluator, I have chosen one word, and the word is hermit. I come from India and we revere hermits here. And the reason why we do so is because these are people with single-minded focus and passion for the subject of their choice, and they relinquish pretty much everything else. So for those of you that don't know, this person who's coming up next has not owned or watched television for the last 23 years. How is that for commitment? And commitment towards what, you may ask? Commitment towards leadership. It is none other than Toastmaster Brahm Memone to take charge and lead us through the evaluation of our fourth speaker. So without further ado, here I present Toastmaster Brahm Memone.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially distinguished Toastmaster Mohmad Azimuddin. Unfortunately, your name resonates with Mohmad Asif, Saiyed as well, so there was a confusion there. Mohmad Azimuddin, your speech was from Dynamic Leadership, Connect with the Audience, and you succeeded very well in that avenue. You exemplified that particular speech with the project requirements and how you came across. The title was My Team Leadership Connection, and I actually got that how you connected with your team and how you turned your team from a disarray, and those graphics that you had on the screen were just very well put together to show us what a team could be and where they could get to. Loved it. I learned how you started out as a mechanical engineer, got that promotion, and you got this team, and nobody can choose the team. They just inherit a team, and the dynamics that you created within the team to bring them to an A team reminds me of the movie The Dirty Dozen. For those of you who saw it, I saw it when I was a little kid, and I still remember that one. Maybe I should have said that about what I learned from that movie. Amazing amount of information. You talked about Maslow's and how the different phases of your leadership got you to get your team to sort of come together. Wonderfully done. You also asked me to look at your communication style, leadership style, organization of the information, messaging, and confidence and eye contact. Well, you communicated very well. You've got a good command of English. Your leadership style came very well across. You are a distinguished Toastmaster. I didn't expect anything less from you, Mohmad Azimuddin. You're at great enthusiasm. Gestures were good. Vocal variety was at a higher pace, and I would have liked more modulation in your vocal variety. That is the most important thing. When we get carried away with energy and we want to portray energy, sometimes we forget that it's okay during that energetic moments to lower our voice and even pause, and they want to speak quietly to make a very pronounced point about an poignant point about your speech. So those things were missing that you could work on in the future. And I'm sure you know all those tactics, but you know, sometimes if you're asked to sort of have everything together in a speech, and maybe it's not that possible, but if you focus on the pause and sometimes lowering your voice, that is very, very effective. And try that out again in the next speech that you do. Your content was all about your promotion, the trials and tribulations, dynamics of leadership, and it really met the pathways objectives, as I've said before. Your Zoom presence was also great, except for you could have had a little bit more better lighting than what you have currently. And then there was the ghosting. Always speakers, when they use a virtual background, there's always a ghosting that happens when your hands tend to disappear or whatever, and the image sort of shifts back and forth. So we have to be careful of that. Summarizing, great speech. You met the objectives. You truly are a dynamic leader. I can see that. I'm so glad that you're in this club, and I look look forward to your next speech. Thank you very much. Back to you, G.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Brahm. At this point in time, I would like to call our birthday girl and our timer, Toastmaster Murray, to please read out the times taken by each evaluator. Toastmaster Murray. Okay, the timings are there in the chat for all of us to see. Could we now have the polls launched for the best evaluator? And I guess we didn't do it for the best speaker, so maybe we could do that as well at this point in time. Zoom Master, would you launch the polls? And in the meantime, in the interest of time, I would like to request the Colossus of our club, Toastmaster Mariana, to come forth and share with us her grammarian's report. Toastmaster Mariana, please take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. G. And yes, I chose the unusual word Colossus for the word of the day, and it was used 4 times and other 4 times as colossal. So thank you very much for using the word. And other favorite words I find are sentences. Tony's speech was full of magical sentences, and one of them, number 1, is I think the most known and most used phrase in history: to be or not to be. That is the question. But I also like doctrine of equity, which clear that sometimes 2 wrong can make 1 right, maybe. I like cognitive dissonance, culpability. And I could start all over his speech, but we don't have time for that. I like Ray's comment, social media feathers. Excellent. A Noorul speech, strict family background, procurement, and most importantly, I want to commend her, which is a Colossus effort, chartering 65 clubs. Excellent work. Next one I have here, middle management is the backbone, a cushion of organizations. And or the moral of the team, empathy is more important. For Asif. Mohmad, Kamsi never made an experienced captain, so true. And using Maslow's hierarchy of motivation. I love that. And I enjoyed Sudarshan note, time restraint that imposed on us. And yes, we have to hurry up. I loved Rozy's fully captivated evaluation and the introduction of Sandra, queen of straight talk, which she is. And she used professional facade and the apple of everyone's eyes in regards of Noorul's speech. I loved Raam's articulation, and my other favorite is Brahm's mentioning The Dirty Dozen, which is one of my favorite movies as well. And that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Grammarian. That was very, very comprehensive. Colossal, if I may say so. Thank you so much. And now for my general evaluators report. First and foremost, there is Mr. Murphy at work everywhere in all our lives. And as Mr. Murphy postulates, things that can go wrong will go wrong. But how does an experienced, self-directed leader react to that? You rise up to the occasion. And today we saw it not once, not twice, but multiple number of times. And before this meeting began, we saw it happening more number of times. What am I talking about? We had the meeting start and we had a bunch of things that shouldn't go wrong, started going wrong. But none of our leaders got fazed by it. Their poise under fire was something to be proud of for each and every one of us. And as members of Leadership Speak, we should not only applaud each and every one of them, but applaud ourselves because we've learned from this experience. Toastmaster Azim had a massive issue with his presentation, etc., coming online. And yet the speech went on and got delivered within the stipulated time. That is leadership, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why Leadership Speak is the right platform for anyone that is seeking to unleash that inner leader in you. Now let's look at the meeting proper. The meeting started spot on time, and our Zoom master, come our Sergeant at Arms, did an exemplary job of laying out the guidelines and ensuring that all of us knew what's going to transpire. She handed the baton over seamlessly to our Toastmaster of the day. And to her, I say, Madam, you've chosen a theme on which people can speak for 6 hours non-stop. And yet here we are coming to the end of this meeting, hopefully on time. And that is all down to the amount of effort that she took. In fact, at this point in time, I'm reminded of a small podcast that I listened to, and I heard it about 2 days back, where the host was interviewing a master chef, and the chef said, when a dish is presented on the table, the dish is never presented on the table. It's always created in the kitchen where no one sees it. And that's typically what Fabiola did. She connected, collaborated, and coaxed everyone to come ahead and take roles, and ensured that she took the pains to understand what everyone's favorite movie is and presented it beautifully today. And the result was that the meeting moved very seamlessly. From there on, the toast, crisp, clear, concise, and very, very apt to the occasion and to the theme, which set the ball in motion. The 4 speakers have been evaluated in great detail. The only thing that I want to say as a generic feedback to all the speakers today is, if you are using presentations, let the power remain with you. Let the presentation remain on the wall. So minimalism, and some more minimalism is what is needed for slides. More words will take the listener away from you to the screen. And that's not what these PowerPoints are for. The PowerPoints are for to reinforce your message, and try and use visuals, try and use images. It will convey your point far better. A couple of things that I heard during one of the speeches: down people, down. Down is extremely derogatory. Down is not something that we use. It is people lower in the hierarchy, people below us, or some such thing would communicate the same point a little better. Overall, I thought the 4 speeches gave us 4 different flavors, all of which were relevant, were very important. And for a change today, all the 4 speakers have stayed within time. And that in itself is a big achievement, because getting across your message and staying within time is an art form that everyone needs to cultivate. Then on came the evaluators, and our club is ultimately a club that delivers excellent evaluations. All things considered, our evaluations are what will propel us further, and today was no different. Each of the evaluators that took the stage did a magnificent job. If I was to talk specifically, Toastmaster Rozy was spot on. She wielded what a surgeon would, a scalpel. She took to the speech right from the beginning and pared it down to the bare essentials and told us how the speech transpired. Then the next evaluator, Mrinal, also in his inimitable style, which is ultimately something that motivates most people to come back and try again, he gave all the points that were highlighted and then talked about what could be improved. The other evaluators also did exactly that. And what I would want to specifically talk about are the last 2 evaluators. And the reason why I'm focusing on the last 2 is they had ample amount of opportunities to criticize. And our evaluators took the path of constructive criticism. And that makes us as a club and makes them as evaluators stand apart and be counted. Of course, Toastmaster Sandra lived up to the moniker that she's got, the queen of compassionate feedback, and exactly that was what we witnessed. Overall, I thought the evaluations were of top drawer quality and something that all of us in this meeting had a lot to learn from and a lot to imbibe, so that in future, when we evaluate, we incorporate a lot of what we heard, saw and felt today. All in all, this meeting is yet another feather in our cap. yet another meeting to be extremely proud of, and yet another meeting where we as leaders have taken one step further towards becoming those leaders that can stand up and be counted when the time comes. So all in all, great meeting, well organized, well executed, well planned, and the result is there for all of us to see. Thanks for having me as your general evaluator, and I shall now hand the stage back over to our Toastmaster of the day to call the meeting to a formal close. Toastmaster Fabiola, take it over.
Thank you. And yet another Colossus meeting. Thank you for that evaluation. That was so in-depth and we got a lot out of it. You also contributed greatly to our development by giving us those feedback. And in the movie industry, we have it. The Oscar goes to, yes, we do have today 2 nominees and winners. Our best speaker for the day is Noorul. Noorul, thank you for sharing with us and opening up as your evaluator shared with you. And the best evaluator today, the couple, that is Toastmaster Sandra. Thank you also for giving us this part to really help this meeting to become such a great meeting. We reach our time, but I want to acknowledge all our guests today. But for this, I am turning over the words to our president, Brahm, to take this on. Toastmaster Brahm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Fabiola, for running a very good meeting. We had, of course, a few breakdowns, but technology is such, and then the extreme weather in North America has played some part in it. Plus, our Sergeant at Arms was very ill, and she was still here trying her best to do what she could. She has very high fever, and I don't know why she came. I asked her to take rest, but she said no, she would be here today. So thank you very much for her. She had to leave just before the meeting ended. So thank you very much. Since it's past 10:30, this meeting is adjourned. But I would like to speak to some of our guests who are here because of the events we've had this week. They came over to see if they can become a member. So we'll begin with McKinley Curtis III. I think that's how it is, right? McKinley?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you think of our meeting? And is there something you're looking for?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all. Well, thank you for the opportunity to attend Leadership Speak. This is a Colossus group of Toastmasters. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do look forward to attending this meeting again. And yes, this is a club that I will most likely, don't use the word, most likely join at some point in the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, McKinley, for that wonderful feedback for us. And we will keep talking on WhatsApp and have you come back and visit us. Our next guest who has been interested in joining us and is exploring that possibility is our guest, Angela Brown. Angela, are you there? I've known Angela by visiting, of course, Discovery Toastmasters, which is also in District 86 on Sunday evenings. Hello, Angela. She's trying to turn her light on while she's getting that, or I don't know what she's doing. There she, oh, there, yes. Yeah, we can see you better, Angela. You're muted there. You're muted, Angela.
Sorry, I really enjoyed your meeting. The speeches were really good. They were very professionally done, and you learned a lot from each speech. Each speaker gave me a lot to think about, and Tony, his speech was really good. It's a lot of stuff that I learned, a lot of things from that. And yeah, I think that this definitely kind of meeting that I would like to join.
Thank you.